Let's get across some other issues with my next guest, political editor, of course, at Sky News, Andrew Clennell. Andrew, welcome to the program. I want to start with Labor's proposed tax on unrealised gains. This is on super accounts only at this stage, 3 million or above. I don't think the coalition did enough with this during the campaign, but the negative headlines are now coming thick and fast. A whole lot of Labor MPs today trying to dodge questions about the fairness, the equity in this tax, because we find out, of course, with some senior politicians, including the Prime Minister, they'll be able to defer payments of this tax until they retire. Not so every other Australian. They'll have to pay it when it's due in the same financial year. So what's going to happen here? Do you think the Treasurer will have to make changes to fix that problem?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I think it'll be up to the Prime Minister. I suspect the Treasurer will stick with it. And I guess when you got 94 seats, there's no real urgency to change it when it affects people with more than $3 million in their super fund. But one simple fix, but they probably want more revenue, so Chalmers might not be keen on it, is just to tax people when they withdraw. So you don't have this unrealised gains issue, which seems very unfair and a bad precedent. But let's see if they go down that path. I think they'll certainly try to introduce the tax. It's whether or not that they will tinker with it. And one of their problems is what you highlighted there. There's a lack of clarity around how it will affect federal politicians or ex-politicians like Anthony Albanese and Peter Dutton, those elected before the 2004 election. So the state, we already revealed here on Sky News, those on the ex-state MP scheme, state judges, state police commissioners won't cop the tax. There was a test case in the High Court on this in the late 1990s, so they can't be subject to this sort of federal tax. But with federal MPs, there's various experts coming out there saying various things about it, and the Treasurer hasn't really been able to put enough clarity around it. So that's proving difficult. But I think a very simple fix is to make it on the withdrawals from the fund, not unrealised gains.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that. I do think they'll stick with unrealised gains. I think they've got 93 seats, as you say, and I think they're going to be 10 foot high and bulletproof when they get back to Parliament. But I do think the hypocrisy on the defined benefit schemes, particularly the Prime Minister and the handful that are left still in the Parliament, notwithstanding, of course, all the senior bureaucrats, the defence chiefs and others, it's just not the politicians. It's quite a lot on those defined schemes. They're complex to sort of work up in policy terms, so I get why it's in the too hard basket. But I just don't think it'll pass the pub test unless they do some sort of attempt to make it equitable. Talk to me about the North West Shelf gas development, because this was buried going into the election. Lots of issues with the then Environment Minister, Tanya Plibersek, but it looks like we're going to get a decision either tomorrow or Thursday.
Yeah, we will. And look, he has three options, Murray Watt. That's to approve it, to reject it, and to approve it with conditions. And I think it'll be the third. So whether he carves out a bit of Indigenous rock art with the expansion of what is a gas processing plant, or whether he says you don't have the approval till 2070, but you have it till 2050 or 2060, remains to be seen. But I don't think there's any doubt, as John O'Dunniam said in that clip, that their intention was to delay it past the election so they could get more Greens preferences. And that's a pretty cynical exercise, isn't it? I mean, but maybe Tanya Plibersek also wasn't comfortable in approving it in the fashion that Anthony Albanese wanted. We know there was some tension over the way she ran her portfolio. So, Murray Watt, been in the job 2 weeks, suddenly an expert on the project and he can approve it. What does that tell you?
Yeah, I'm as cynical as you, and I'm also cynical about those 2035 emissions reduction targets. They're shunted down to the back of the year. They'll pick up in agriculture and a whole lot of other things like transport. So if you think the prices are high in your power bill, they're only going to get higher. Hey, you had some revelations this afternoon about Jacinta Nampijinpa Price. What can you tell us? This is about the lower house.
Yeah, well, Peter Dutton approached her about 18 months ago and said, do you want to run for either Lingiari or Solomon? Now, she had a go at Lingiari in 2019, but Solomon was previously more winnable. That's kind of the Darwin-based seat, and they got within 1.3%. So it does make me think maybe she should have gone for that, if she wants to have a higher profile downstairs, even be a future leader. I think that was an opportunity lost for Jacinta Price. And what I can also tell you is the National suggested to her Hunter or Patterson. So she's definitely had her chances, and she confirmed that to me, or her office did in a statement this afternoon. It is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I think you've got to strike when the iron's hot in politics. Maybe it would have been too hard to win Hunter or Patterson, as we now see, but Solomon was a red-hot chance.
Well, I think she'd probably come back and have another go at Solomon. I don't think she'd have a go at Linky. Look, I don't know. She might have a go at Linky as well, but she's pretty young, and I wouldn't rule it out. And if she cements herself in the party, that'd be the chance at the next election. We'll see. This big decision today in Sydney, the Australian Turf Club members, this is a surprise, I think, from some of the commentary going into the vote, decided not to proceed with the sale, the proposed sale of Rosehill Gardens. A lot of talk, 18 months worth of process here, Andrew. And the members here voted down something that might have delivered them in the order of $5 billion.
Well, I've never seen Peter V'landys lose before, Peter. That's the most surprising thing for me. The racing and sports supremo normally gets his way, but ultimately in this bid, the ATC, Peter McGorran, who works closely with Mr V'landys, they needed to bring the trainers with them, didn't they? People like Chris Waller and Gai Waterhouse. When they're speaking up against it, it's going to be difficult. And, the re-emergence of Mark Latham with as a political figure. One Nation, now an independent. He played a big campaign against this, so I guess he would see it as a victory of sorts. It could be seen as a bit of a shame for Sydney because they need, places to put homes. And this was an ideal place, but they never came up with that solution for racing in Western Sydney that was satisfactory to all. And above all, I think it's an embarrassment to Chris Minns. He spent a lot of time backing this. And, if that's his plan for homes in Sydney, he's failed on it.
Yeah, interestingly, I listened to the interview there from Peter McGorran this afternoon after the vote fell over, and he made some, I think, really sound comments about the future of racing, its need to attract younger people. It's not the pipeline of investment that it was 20 or 30 years ago. It's under competition from a whole lot of sports. So I think there's a real strong argument for them to look after the financial future. That's now been lost. He says it's off the table for good. So we'll see what happens. Andrew, thank you.